and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan, and you might be wondering what to do with your FPL team for Game Week 37, and thankfully, the experts have got us covered with all of their data with transfers, chips, and captaincy. So guys, let's get cracking on. Leave a like, do subscribe if you're new around here. Let's get started. So as always, a massive thank you to the 100 FPL experts, pundits, content creators and enthusiasts who help us out with our data each and every week. This is the second last episode of the season, so really keen to see what they're up to this week. And believe me guys, there is a lot of transfers being made that hopefully is going to help you out with some of your own decision making as well. So big up to everyone on screen right now. Let's see what they're doing. So speaking in general, out of our 100 expert managers, we have got 34% making one transfer this game week. So yeah, it's definitely a transfer making kind of game week indeed, with so many opting to use their free transfers this week. However, it's not just free transfers this week. We've got a whole bunch of hits being taken. 29% of our experts are making 2 transfers this week, many of which are for hits. And we've got 22% of managers making 3 or more transfers, which includes 5 managers who are actually making 4 transfers this game week. Yeah, a lot. There's basically a whole load of transfers going on around the grounds among the top managers this week. It really is a week to be spending those transfers ahead of this big double game week 37. And we even have some chips being used as well. 8% are using either their free hit or their wild card. We'll go into chips in a little bit more detail very momentarily, but we have got just 7% not making a transfer at all this week. That's not too many, but trying to roll a transfer into the final game week if they are already set up, particularly those who have recently wildcarded. But if you need to make a transfer this week, well, hey, this is a good opportunity to do so, and we've got plenty of data of what you've got to do. But first of all, let's have a look at some of the chip statistics. So it is a massive week, not just for transfers, but also for using chips. Let's go through all of the chips, because we have got at least one manager using each of the 5 available chips to us in the game of FPL. So first of all, well, four chips, I suppose. We've got 1% using the wild card, you know, this the second wild card, I guess. We get 2 wild cards. This is the second one. So yeah, we are running out of time to use the wild card chip if you still have one, and if so, maybe this is the week to do so, setting your team up for this week and next week as well. We've got an insane 80% using the bench boost this week. So this is the biggest bench boost week I have seen in FPL pretty much ever during my personal time of playing FPL. I've never seen anything like this. So many of the top managers all agreeing at once that this is the week to bench boost. And I know for a fact a lot of you guys are going to be bench boosting this week, so you are in good company with all of these experts. We've got 2% using the triple captain chip. Those of you who have the triple captain left, this might be an opportunity to go for it. You've got 2 game weeks left, really, so you've got to use it one game week or another. I know some people have asked me, you know, if I have a bench boost and a triple captain left, which week should I use each one in? And it's going to be down to your bench. How does your bench look in game week 37, and how will it look in game week 38? And look which of the game weeks your bench looks stronger, and I guess that week is the one to bench boost. I think given that this is a double game week, it could even be that this is the week to triple captain, and actually next week is the game week to bench boost if you have both chips. But if you've just got the bench boost, now is going to be your big opportunity. We have also got 7% using the free hit chip this week. We've seen a lot of free hits being used already. Game week 29 and game week 34 were the big free hit weeks previously, but if you've still got a free hit chip left, well, now is a pretty good time to play it indeed. I actually do know one of our experts is planning on using their free hit in game week 38 as well, or at least one is planning then. So yeah, be keen to see what the chip stats are like next game week, but this is the big one. If you've got a chip, now is the time to use it, as demonstrated by our experts, so many going for them. In fact, only 10% of the top managers will be foregoing a chip this week, not using a chip this week, and a lot of that is to do with them perhaps not having any chips left. So big chip week. Bench boost is by far the most popular one. Get it on. So let's look at the most popular Game Week 37 transfers in the world before we have a look at the expert data and see if everything aligns here. Well, we've got Erling Haaland as a huge transfer in this week. I think even those who are very much on the anti-Haaland world side of FPL, who really don't like the idea of having Erling Haaland in their team. Maybe they have changed their minds after the amazing haul that he got in Game Week 36, and he's going to be a huge player for Game Week 37. Over 400 transfers in for him at time of recording. This is only going to go up as we approach the deadline. Nicholas Jackson had a very, very good game week, and although he is probably another player who a lot of people were very much against previously, again, people changing their minds on Jackson and looking to bring him in finally. After that, we've got the likes of Gordon, Gvardiol, and Isak as well, making up the remainder of the top 5. Each of those players on 200,000 kind of transfers in each. And after that, it's a little bit more mixed with various defenders most of the time being transferred in by various of our overall player base. But do our experts agree with these players? Well, for a large part, yes. Haaland, Jackson, Gordon, Gvardiol, Byrne, Pedro Porro, Foden, Petrovic, and Cucurella. All of these players are also seeing significant interest among our expert managers. We just leave 3 players left, and a couple of these players, actually, our experts are not interested in at all. So Son and Walker. Now, I appreciate a lot of our experts already own Son. You know, that kind of makes a lot of sense there to already own Son. But what is interesting is I know only around 60% of our experts own Son, and those who don't have him right now are not looking to bring him in. And that's a big part due to, one, Son is going to be moving out to the left wing with Richarlison playing as the central striker, and also Son and Spurs in general have just not been in the greatest form recently. So if you have Son already, great, but if you don't have him, you might be looking elsewhere, and that seems to be why experts are thinking, not really making too much effort to bring in Son. And as for Kyle Walker, well, why on earth would you bring in Kyle Walker for 5.4 million when you can get Gvardiol for 5.1 million. You know, Gvardiol is a far superior FPL asset. He is just as nailed on as Walker. He's playing so much more advanced. He's a far more attacking player, better chance of bonus points as well. It just makes so much more sense to go for Gvardiol over Walker, and therefore none of our experts whatsoever are interested in Walker. He is an absolute zero transfer man. That just leaves us with Isak. Just a couple of transfers in for him. I think, to be fair, most of our experts already have Isak. You will really struggle to find a top manager without Isak in their team right now. So if you haven't got him, it is definitely still time to bring him in. But yeah, I think most of our experts already were ahead of the game on that one, I would say. So yeah, let's move on and see what actual transfer moves our experts are making, starting off with some sells. So the top of the sell list is really dominated by players who have been ruled out for Game Week 37. So Maguire, Van Hecke, and Fabian Schär all are most likely not going to play even a single minute during Game Week 37. And as such, they are very easy players to sell. Particularly if you are bench boosting this week, you are going to need a full bench of fully fit players. And selling those injured players is going to be crucial. So if you've got one of these injured defenders, they are going to be definitely your priority sells, particularly if you are bench boosting this week. You just got to get rid of them. Very easy decision to make. All of them are, you know, just not going to play this game week. And we will make some suggestions based on the expert data on what kind of players you might be looking at to replace these guys. After that, we've got Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes obviously is a player who we're not 100% sure if he's going to be available or not. The injury was supposedly not too severe, but he's got a wrist injury, but also an ankle injury. And if he's unavailable for this game week, he's going to be another player who is very easy to replace. But a lot of our experts holding off on this transfer to see exactly what the situation is. Maybe we can get some more information before deadline to see if Bruno Fernandes is going to be available for Game Week 37 or not. If he's not, he's got to go as well. And after that, we've kind of got the fit players that maybe are not particularly desirable. So Aït-Nouri, Garnacho, you know, no double game week for Aït-Nouri. Garnacho, obviously with Man United's form, is not looking like a great pick anymore. We've got Salah, probably may consider selling him this week if you've got other ideas of big, important, expensive double game week players to buy. Solanke with a single game week, don't fancy him. Gusto, he's going to be rotation risks, just coming back from injury. Neto's not even in the team anymore. Saka's an interesting one, only 5 transfers out for him. A lot of our experts are looking to keep Saka if they have him, but a few are opting to sell him as well. And then we've got more rotation risk players, Dubravka, Maddison, and Muniz and Zabani with their single game week. So it's really about rotation risk players, kind of players with single game weeks only, and you want to maybe maximize your double game week players, and a few players here who are just less desirable, such as the likes of Garnacho. Interestingly, Dalot is nowhere to be seen here, so it does look like our experts are opting to keep Dalot this game week rather than actually sell him. And Gusto is perhaps the more interesting one of the sales there for Gusto, because I know a lot of you guys do have Gusto in your team, particularly those who wildcarded a little while ago, and now you're probably looking at potentially removing him, in fact. So yeah, let's move on and see who are the players being brought in. So no surprise to see a defender at the top of the list, and it's Dan Burn. Yes, Dan Burn, and he is joint first with Richarlison. Both of these two players are being brought in by 19 of our transfer-making experts each. So, big moves bringing in these guys. Now, Dan Burn is going to be a really, really obvious defender to bring in if you have an open Newcastle slot, particularly if you're a Fabian Schär owner and you want to find just a easy, nice and straightforward and cheaper defender to bring in. A straight swap to Burn makes a whole lot of sense. So, just go for that one. Very, very simple indeed. And Richarlison seems to be the new midfield hype pick. He plays Burnley and Manchester City in the double game week, and then finishes off the season in game week 38 against Sheffield United. So some huge opportunities for a forward, really. He's listed as a midfielder in FPL, but he's a forward in real life who has been in good form whenever he has started games for Spurs, and actually in many ways been the better Spurs attacker than Heung-min Son whenever both of those two players are on the pitch at the same time. So that's why we're not seeing too much interest in new ownership for Son. That's because Richarlison is actually maybe the better pick to go for at this moment. So huge numbers in for him as well. After that, Romero, another Spurs player and another defender, of course. Pedro Porro as well here with 10 transfers in. So it does seem like the Spurs defenders are gathering some interest. Those of you guys who watched my video yesterday about defenders and clean sheet probabilities and who is likely to do well over the double game week, but also in game week 38 in terms of those defenders, well, you will see that Spurs, actually, you should be interested in them. There is a good reason to have a little bit of interest in the Spurs defense. So why not go in on a Romero or Pedro Porro if you are looking for a new defender replacement? After that, Jackson, of course, he's going to be transferred in by a few people, although I would say most of our experts already own Jackson. Onana is here as well. I know a lot of people have been very down on the Manchester United defense, but Onana is quite simply the most popular goalkeeper transfer in of the game week. Really, really popular, and he's expected to make plenty of saves. He's been making so many saves this season, even more last game week as well, despite the big scoreline against Manchester United. Onana just keeps making saves, and if you can keep clocking up those save points, well, you're going to get something out of the double game week. He doesn't need clean sheets to get a respectable score, and to be honest, there's not too much elsewhere for goalkeepers anyway outside of Petrovic. Anyone outside of Petrovic is a bit of a punt when it comes to goalkeepers, so Onana definitely with some popularity there. Cucurella is the most popular Chelsea defender. He's probably the most nailed on Chelsea defender for the double game week as well, so that makes sense. And then we've got likes of Foden, Gordon, Guardiola as well, who are all fairly template picks to bring into your FPL team this week. A lot of people will be backing them. Interestingly, the reason why Guardiola is a little bit lower on this list is simply because a lot of people are already tripled up on Manchester City, whether they already have Guardiola or maybe they have Edison or maybe they have De Bruyne. You know, a lot of people are already going to be tripled up with Foden and Haaland as, you know, players that you will always have, and therefore, for a lot of people, Guardiola is going to be a much harder player to get to. But if you don't have that triple up on Manchester City already, he's probably going to be the most obvious defender to go for this week by some distance. And then we've got players like Dunk, Vicario, Branthwaite, De Bruyne, João Pedro, Livramento, and Petrovic completing our list of potential buys. This is really a really nice kind of watch list of players to go for this week. If you are looking to make transfers this week, these are our favourite experts transfers in. And I think we can make some suggestions from this data. So, okay, let's first of all just go through the injured defender type criteria. And I guess we could include, you know, we include Fabian Schär, we include Maguire, we include Van Hecke. You could also add players to this like maybe Aït-Nouri, who might not be particularly confident in having for this game week if you've got a Doughty potentially. But yeah, any defender you don't want, here are the top replacements. Now, of course, we spoke about Guardiola, and here's going to be the #1 replacement. But for our experts, that is more difficult to get to Guardiola. Maybe you can do that, but our experts not so much. So they are going for, instead, Dan Burn as the priority. After that, Romero, potentially Pedro Porro there as well, but Romero seems to be more popular as a transfer in this week since so many of our experts already own Pedro Porro. And then we got Cucurella there for finishing off the list. I would say that Burn and Cucurella, nice, straightforward, sensible, good chance of clean sheets, and a solid, fairly nailed on as well. Romero, very much nailed on, and a little bit of attacking threat recently from Romero. Romero actually putting up better attacking numbers than Burn and Cucurella. So although you'll probably say that Spurs have a slightly worse chance of clean sheets, he might make up for it, actually, with potential attacking returns. He's really going for it at the moment. With Burnley and Sheffield United yet to play in the final 2 game weeks of the season, there is going to be opportunities there for sure. So let's move on to some other positions. So Fernandes to Richarlison is a really, really obvious move if you think Fernandes is going to be unavailable. So yeah, if he is kind of ruled out for game week 37, straight away make this transfer. But there is got to be some consideration to be going for this move, even if he is available this week, because Richarlison, of course, playing Burnley and Sheffield United in the final 3 games of the season, there's going to be a really nice opportunity there, and it frees up a little bit of cash as well, frees up some budget, so it could be well worth going for regardless of the injury situation. But definitely a transfer move you should keep an eye on. And if you've got a player like maybe Garnacho and you can afford to upgrade him to Richarlison, or if you've got Salah that you don't want in your team for whatever reason, Richarlison, again, is the super obvious midfield replacement this week. In terms of attackers to go for, forwards to go for, Solanke to Jackson is a good move. Any other forwards you have right now, if you've still got Darwin in your team, if you've got a Muniz you maybe want to let go of, Jackson, again, is going to be a nice transfer move for him, as long as you have that free slot in the Chelsea, in your Chelsea players. João Pedro is probably the alternative there. No real interest in Højlund. In fact, Højlund is actually being sold by some of our experts. So it really does to go Jackson, João Pedro. It looks like Wilson's going to be injured for this game week, actually. And then, Højlund is really the only other player worth talking about. And even he has got no interest among our experts. Our experts are really strongly avoiding him and actually selling Højlund. So would not be looking to go there. And similarly for Wilson, just it looks like he's going to be injured. So, yeah, not really going to be an option anymore. And we've got Neto to Onana. If you've still got a goalkeeper right now and, maybe you're already tripled up on Chelsea, Onana is probably going to be the kind of second best goalkeeper option to bring in this week after Petrovic, according to our experts. Looking at captaincy, and of course, like we mentioned earlier, we do have 2% on the triple captain this game week, but we also do have a very much a standout game week 37 captain, and absolutely no surprise there, given what we saw in game week 36. Erling Haaland against Fulham and Spurs, 2 away fixtures, penalty taker, back in form for Manchester City, who have to win these games in order to win the Premier League. Yeah, no doubt about it, he is by far the most popular pick. Even if you are remotely happy with your rank right now, you should be captaining Haaland, really. It's really risky to go against him because all of the top managers are all going to be captaining him. And if he does well and you do not captain him, you are going to be screwed. You really, really are. He's just the massive standout captain of the game week. Now, it's not the highest we've ever seen, but with a double game week, any potential damage is doubled. So just be super aware if you are going differential. But if you do want to go differential, Isak is the second most popular here. He plays against Brighton at home and then Manchester United away from home. So there is an opportunity on Isak for sure. And Nicholas Jackson and De Bruyne are also on 2% each. We have got a couple of 1%ers as well. Foden and Palmer. Was kind of surprised to see Palmer below Isak, Jackson and De Bruyne. I thought we might actually see Palmer in third place in this captaincy poll, but only one person out of our 100 experts are going to be captaining Palmer this week, which really has probably put me off a lot of even the idea of captaining Palmer. So Haaland, super obvious captain this week. If you don't want to think about it, don't think about it. Just captain Haaland. And if you really need to go differential, Isak is probably going to be the guy for you, but he's certainly not the only option, and the 6 players we've spoken about just now for captaincy are probably the only 6 captains worth considering ahead of game week 37. And our bonus question for this game week was, how many double game week players do you have, experts? Well, they told me all about it. So we have included the bench boost players, how many players they have, including double game week players on their bench as well, which gives us averages for different strategies, I suppose. So our bench boosters are averaging 13.73 players for this game, with double game week players. That is going to be a whole load of fixtures. It really, really is. I can't believe, our bench boosters are pushing 14 double game week players for this game week. That really, really is insane how many fixtures there's going to be on display. Our free hitters, most of them with 11 players. We have got one using 10 players, which just brings the average down slightly. And those without a chip are just on a flat average of 10 double game week players. So yeah, in general, it is going to be a case of most of our experts are going to be well above 11, well above 11 double game week players this week, if you include those bench boost players as well. So yeah, just be aware of that. It is going to be a game week where every fixture counts. There's going to be non-stop football and non-stop FPL points being gained all the way until the end of game week 37, all the way in a week's time. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be one that runs on and on and on, and you're never going to know how good of a game week you've had until this game week is well and truly completed. But it's an exciting one, guys, and our experts are getting excited too, with plenty of transfers, plenty of chips, plenty of hits as well, and plenty of players to play in game week 37. Guys, if you enjoyed this one or found it useful, make sure you do drop a like. This is the second to last 100 experts video of the year, so all support is appreciated. If you want to check out the defenders video I just mentioned, please do go check it out. We spoke about all of the best defenses to target ahead of game week 37, and there's going to be some good information there for those of you looking to bench boost, maybe have some injured defenders. Check it out. But aside from that, thank you so much for watching once again. We'll be back tomorrow with my team selection, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye-bye.